The problem with CPS and DCS, to start with my first child, I was in Arizona and I left situation. They told me to leave. And I went to the shelter. So they came to the shelter and investigated the domestic violence, but then they came back 30 minutes later and said that screaming and getting angry at her child. It was reported Kaima then hit her child to the point where her roommate heard the hit. The child was screaming the entire time Kaima was hitting him. This truly didn't happen. That was the reason why they took my son, Gaspare. And they had no right, because I didn't. One, when I did the tour around the shelter with my son, he was screaming and crying the entire time. If you ask the lady who gave us the tour around the Dream Center, I didn't hit him and I wasn't screaming at him. I said, Gaspar, be quiet. We're taking a tour around the shelter. I didn't whoop him. We went back to the room. He was still screaming 15 minutes later. But the lady next door, they say someone said, they lied and said I was beating him to where he was screaming the entire time. I wasn't hitting him to where he was screaming and crying. He was screaming around the shelter. That also happened when I was at the dad's apartment. He was screaming on the couch. I walked in. He sounded like somebody was killing him. I walked in the living room and he was on the couch and the dad was over in the living room sweeping. You would think that he was getting killed, but he wasn't. So this is a lie, and this is why they came to take my son. It has been like 2 years. It's 2025. My son is 4. It's been like 2 years, and they continued this case, and they took my son because of this lie right here. So that's not right. And so then I go to UCL Hospital. This had nothing to do with my son, but here they lied at UCL Hospital saying the hallmark was hallucinations and it's schizophrenia to ask if someone next door, though there's a Hispanic couple next door that just had a baby. That's a valid, calm, normal question that should be normal to ask. It shouldn't be schizophrenic charge just to ask a question. Hey, there's someone next door. Or, hey, do you have roommates next door? Yeah. Okay, that's why I hear people. Then they continued that case, and I did comply. I started Life Skills with Danny, right? So I started Life Skills with Danny. That's complying. I even went out there with a baby in my stomach to see my daughter. I did the drug test. None of them came back with meth and amphetamines or weed in them. And I lived in Denver, and people know I didn't smoke weed every day, nor methamphetamines every day, not ever really. So, right, that was in Arizona, because that's a thing that they do in Arizona. And it wasn't a drug addiction or anything that was frequent or common, right? So it's like if you go to Las Vegas, you have a drink, or you fucking try a drug somewhere. But anyway, right, that's nothing to do with me, because hey, I don't really have a drug addiction. I don't think someone should be held up for this type of shit. This is fucking lies and shit. In this case, they came and took sweets, and they used the termination in Denver, which was it was racist. It was a lie. So they owe me my daughter. They said I wasn't complying. I was complying because, hey, I actually had to not take cooking certification classes because I had 3 CPS requirements in the week. So I couldn't even get my cooking certification. She said, hey, you have to leave class 3 times out of the week. I want you to get your daughter first, because that's interrupting you getting your cooking certification at the Westminster building up there. And so with this baby sweets, I'm at the shelter. Hey, they didn't walk in on me abusing my baby, choking her, abusing her, anything. They walked in, I was breastfeeding. And they said I had no choice but to hand over my baby. And I just got done breastfeeding off my healthy breast. And they took my car seat with my baby and wouldn't even let me watch where they were going from the window. That is weird. So I have the rights to protect my kids, and we all need to protect our kids from this system, because from this one lie, they came and took my son at the shelter. Though it's supposed to be a place to leave arguments or fights with the dad, and they didn't even take the baby from the information from what happened with the dad. They took it because the lady, some female next door, lied. It said child was screaming the entire time and I was hitting him. And the lady who gave us the tour on the shelter, no, that's not true, and it wasn't true. It actually truly wasn't true, so it's not true. But this is why they took my son, and now it's been 2 years, 4. So this is why there is every reason why it should be illegal to separate biological mother and children in a world where there's 8 million people, and they can come up with lies like this, and then the system takes the child. And it's not that they don't have no proof. It didn't happen. So they need to return children now. It needs to be legal. Because I'm sorting through paperwork and there's lots of lies in here with some truth, but they're mostly lies. And like I said, I wasn't neglecting my baby. Here they say, Kaima Smith and Anna P. Rodriguez, not to put his name out here, but this is what they do. Because I have to put my story out there because they literally took my baby. My children. They shouldn't take my children at all. They need to leave children with their mothers. And they said we weren't responsible. There was no other appropriate caretaker really available. Me and my son could have left the state and went back to where we were staying in Denver, happy. And it was that simple. Me and my son aren't even from the state of Phoenix. So they opened up a CPS case in the state where there was a report of domestic violence, or they called the police. And it's like, why would they shouldn't try to keep us in the state? Like they should let me go back to the state where we were if we were just visiting the dad. So like I said, untrue. I bathed my son. I fed him. I spent all my Denver food stamps and cash assistance in Phoenix. I also had checks, like a $2,000 check or some other checks that I spent in Denver in Phoenix multiple months. I went every day to Taco Bell in my car. We also went to the grocery store. We also went to what was it? Not Del Taco, but one of them places where you get the big family meals. And we was eating. Went to Walmart, Fry's. We went to a lot of supermarkets, and I did bathe my son. So I was taking care of my son, and they took my son because of this lie. And it's been this long, and I haven't gotten him back. Now look how they brought my children to me. Look at my son and look at my daughter. Sweets, they took her. They had no reason to take her. I wasn't neglecting her, but then they brought my daughter back to me neglected with a bald spot on the back of her head, and she wasn't able to poo for 2 days. That's neglecting my daughter. Of her well-being with her mother. She never had a day where she didn't poo with her mom. She never had a day where she had a bald spot on the back of her head with her mother. Look how they're returning my kids to me, and they took my child from these lies. I think it should be illegal to take a woman's child, and they need to be returned now. Why do I have to sort through paperwork of lies with some truth to get my kids what I rightfully deserve? Regardless. You know why? Because they're my kids, and I actually wasn't doing this stuff that they're saying in here. I was taking care of my child. I don't have no drug addiction. I'm not, like...
Don't take kids. Never take kids.
This is every reason why it should be legal to take a woman's child. And I'm sure if you listen to other stories, they do come and whether they lie or it's accusations from the other 8 million people in the world, they come and take a person's child and run them through paperwork. Someone told me just a couple of days ago, someone made up a lie and said that a man had raped his daughter. He took his child to the doctor. Someone accused him of raping his child, so they took his child They did investigations and found out he didn't even rape his child and gave him his child back. Like, this is crazy. It needs to be illegal to take people's children from them. Specifically, I say the mother, because she's the one that carried it, and she has emotions for her child, and she can give them away. She can leave them at the hospital. She can say that and give it to the person that she wants to give it to. It's a good person, but this is sad, and it is heart-wrenching that something that small, and it was a lie, took my son from me. It wasn't even the reports and calls about the couple fights. It was a female at the shelter that I went to where they advised me to go, and they came back 30 minutes later saying it was a report. Someone said you was beating your son to where he was screaming and crying. I said, we just screaming around the shelter, and it's gone on this long. And we see in the pictures how they return my children to me.
And this is serious. It is not a game. Return children now, and it should be legal to take anyone's child. We should have the right to protect our children. You cannot come to my door with any reason from anywhere of 8 million directions of people to take anyone's child.
I think it should be legal to take women's children. They need to be returned now. And hey, who wants to have someone else's child anyway, out of respect for the natural process of a man and a woman and a baby? Like, this is sickening, because this is not about the child's well-being. If a little lie like this can separate a family, you have no right to take and separate a family, especially a woman, from her children. If she wants her children, she's a good mother. And you should have not have kept her in the state with a case open. You should have let her and her son go back to where they were to be safe. It's not safe to keep them in the state where the domestic violence or this stuff is happening, even though I was taking care of my son. It's just like every reason why it should be illegal to take someone's child and return them now. Like, it's been a year and longer for my first child, and this is sick to me. Like, this is paperwork. I have children that I deserve. They're my children, and this lie has kept this stuff going, and they want to build up stuff to take my children and send it somewhere else where it don't need to be. With the mother who I did see pass out. So they have my son, it's everywhere but where it's supposed to be with this mother. And from a lie like this. So I think it should be illegal to take someone's child. If anybody can make up any reason, and it's not even true, to take someone's baby and take this long to get it back, I disagree. I'm sure if I had drug addictions, I'd be doing methamphetamines and all that shit right now and shooting up and all that shit. I don't do that shit. So this is really disgusting to me, that this is more important than a woman and their child being together, and a man knowing, hey, I know where the woman is that had my baby, or, I'm saying, she's somewhere with her baby, whatever. Like, every reason why it should be illegal to separate a mother and her children if she wants her children. And this is true. It truly didn't happen. So